All right, so let's get started with this VIP session with Dr. Bowman. Thanks for that wonderful conversation. So truth is, we originally had planned that Dr. Bowman would do sort of a like static kind of, I imagine them as a little bit stuffy PowerPoint presentation about, I know your stuff is very lively, but PowerPoints are, they're kind of, they've got walls. They've got walls. They've got boundaries. And just a couple days ago, we went kind of changed up our thoughts and started thinking, well, maybe we could do just conversation interview style. And I'm so glad we did. I really love,
Nice.
yes, I love being able to have these just more fluid conversations. Um, so let's look at a couple other questions that we have. I have a question. This is something I think a lot of parents have to confront. I don't think on average, and please correct me, I don't think on average children are born picky. Or maybe they are. But I think it has a lot to do with how we introduce food and when we introduce food. That will either steer a child toward increased pickiness or steer them toward increased acceptance of different foods. So when you work with families from lots of different backgrounds, and even if it's like the kid that I call them kids, the medical students you're working with at Howard, do you have or do you use any kind of strategies when you run into some young person who is just like picky, can't can't try certain things?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That my kid will only eat mac and cheese. My kid will only eat nuggets and fries all day. That's all they'll eat. And I'm like, well, how do they ever get exposed to nuggets and fries? Like they somehow, some way, they don't come out the womb because they can't even say it. Like, what? Nuggets and fries. Like they can't say it. So how they ever discover nuggets and fries have we not already given it to them? And and we gave in early, and we didn't allow this. And this is for people. Okay, let's take out the people who have true food perception challenges, right? People who have true texture issues. And I'm going to set that to the side for a minute. Um, that the kids who are habitually only going to do certain foods, they rotate the same four foods, and that's it. If they were never exposed to those four foods, they would never be addicted to those four foods. So um, that's why it's important to have an early start. That's why it's important to say in advance, what kind of future do I want for my children in terms of nutrition? Uh, I like, of course, bringing in scripture. So I'll say there's a scripture that says, train up a child in the way they should go. And so if I say to myself, what foods do I want my kid to eat when they're a teenager? Then when they are two, I need to be kind of giving those foods now. Or when they're 6 months, make sure they can chew them and swallow them and, don't aspirate. But if I don't think about my child beyond, let's go a little bit away from food for a minute. If I don't think about my child, like I see my child as the next president of the United States, not that next president, but the president of the United States in the future. Or I see them as a nurse or a doctor, or I see them as a lawyer, or I see them as a astronaut. If I don't even think about that, then hey, here's my phone, go play on the phone. I just want you to be quiet right now. But if I say, I want my kid to know how to read at an early age, then I need to be reading to my kid on a regular basis. Um, and so we set in motion the things that we want in the future today, when they're as young as possible. So that's number one. Number two is, okay, so now the kid is only eating nuggets and fries and won't do anything else. So then I'll say, all right, well, what, does the kid drink anything? So, all right, let's start with adding smoothies and saying, we're not going to give you nuggets and fries until you do the smoothie first. And so the smoothie comes first. And then after that, I'll give you, instead of giving you six nuggets and fries, I'll give you four nuggets. Because now you ate something, so you actually should be a little bit less full. And so you have to add in the foods that are so healthy that you really want them to get in, and they can cry and pitch a fit and scream and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, they'll get hungry enough, and they'll say, "Okay, fine, I'll do a smoothie,"
Mm, mm,
or "Okay, fine, I'll do a piece of fruit." And I remember growing up, this is it's funny in hindsight how this might not have been a good idea for me, but this is what my parents did for me. Before I could ever get soda, I had to have two glasses of milk.
mm.
And now my two glasses of milk were strawberry milk. But it, they were like, well, at least he's getting in the
It was a
calcium.
good thought,
Yeah, exactly. So
right?
that idea was a good idea. The way it was enacted may not have been
Right,
good.
right.
But
Execution. Well,
yes,
yeah.
correct. So they're like, in order to get this, I'm not saying you can't have it right now. I'm saying in order to get this thing that you really want, here's some things that I think is important for you to get before you get that.
Mm,
So I think that's going to be important. And you know, to be honest, I love this analogy. I gave credit to Dr. David Katz. He had an analogy that said, if you had the opportunity for your kid to go to you want the kid to go to school on a bus, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
mhm,
You want your kid to go to school on a bus, and there are four buses lined up. There's the bus going to school, but there's also a bus going to the beach, and a bus going to the bounty house, and a bus going to the pool. But you want the kid to go to school, and you just say, "Hey, I want you to go to this, but here are the four options." What kid's gonna go to school? None of them,
none of
right?
them. Right.
So we have to say, this is what I want you to eat. Again, start as early as possible before they can even say the words nuggets and fries, before they even say the words, um, pizza or whatever, just before they even get to that point. Um, Making sure that those things aren't set. So I had a 4 month old who um, the medical student took the history and it came back to me, and the medical student said that the mother was there with the aunt, and the
Mm.
aunt who was taking care of the baby during the daytime while mom worked said, "Oh, and I give the baby oatmeal cream pie cookies." 4 month old. Oh,
Yeah.
but he loves it. And the mom said, "Oh, Dr. Bowman's gonna get you." And I was like, "Mom, you get her." Like I see this kid every 2 months or something like that.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
no, you need to get her. Like, this isn't. I mean, as much as I invested and I care about my patients, I want them to do as good as possible. I don't have to live with the consequences of that.
Right.
Um, Mom, you do. And so, but he likes it.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
like,
think this is one of the challenges that I see. We're back to the wicked problem, right? The Gordian knot. So we have a culture where every, call it 8 months to a year, some new philosophy of parenting comes out, some new best practice for parenting. Our parents, the ones who are having babies now, and probably it happened for our parents too, let's say it did, are not entirely sure the what is the best way to raise a child, right?
right, right.
We want the child to go to school and do all those good things, yes. We also want the child to love us all the time. We want the child to never be unhappy and never be angry. We want the child to think that we're their best friend, that they're going to come to us all the time right away, and that, we want them to feel good about themselves. We have all these perhaps unattainable, somewhat unrealistic expectations and beliefs about it, what parenting is and what a child is going to, how a child is going to respond and what's okay. I don't want my child to ever cry. I don't want them to have tantrums. I don't want them to be upset in any way. I want to provide for them everything that I never had in my life.
Mm,
And
mm.
that leads parents down this particular path of I'm going to give them what they like. They like it, not knowing or not realizing that perhaps we are doing them a disservice. Not that the child should go without or be I don't want to, I wouldn't say you're not punishing the child because you're not giving them chicken nuggets, right? But somehow parents feel that if the child likes it or the child wants it or the child's friends all eat it or this is what happens, and that's what we should do for parenting, or we never yell. We never yell at the child. We never do. There's certain things that just never happen in some settings. And a lot of times those things shouldn't happen, right? But the not knowing how to parent, I think, is a big problem. And it leads us to continually try and placate and satisfy a child. And the child, as far as I ever understood, really benefits from having boundaries and having adults that say, this is what you're allowed to do. This is what is safe and healthy and good for you to do. And all this stuff out here, we're not going to entertain. We're not going to play in those areas. We're not going to do those things. We're going to discourage those things, and try and keep you within certain safe limits. I think that's a big part of this
Yes.
wicked problem we have.
That is a very good point, and it's like I said, like it's sinister.
Mm,
Um, because I want the immediate gratification of my kids being happy. Like I said, with the 3, 5, and 1 year olds, like they were happy when they got their cookies. They were
right,
happy
right.
at
They're
moment.
hot Takis.
Um,
Yes, right.
yes. Then for 15 minutes, they're really ecstatic and they're happy. Mommy did this. Thank you, mommy. And then all of a sudden, out comes a monster, and
Yes,
they now can't control their emotions because they don't have the prefrontal cortex to do so, and the chemicals are firing off like, oh my God, like there's so much going on, and they can't help it. So, to me, it goes back to the vision you have for your child.
yes.
So if the vision, like, hopefully, I know it seems like we're restricting the kid by not giving them this food or that food or whatever, but hopefully we do restrict what goes into their eyes and ears in terms of the
Mhm.
TV exposure, their
Yeah,
social media
social media.
exposure,
Hmm.
their our own language that we use around them. Hopefully, we're like, okay, let me give them instead of saying oh, I had a mother used to say, I was in residency, and she's like, "He bad, he bad." I was like, "Oh no, 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 no.
Mm-mm.
Maybe his behavior, what he just did, was an act that was bad, maybe, but um, instead of saying he is bad, say, "Hey, no, you're a smart kid. Let's make different choices. You're a good kid. You good kids will be nice to da 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 da, and let's be nice to your sibling or whatever, right? So we
Right.
got to think to ourselves the language that we're using. So we should restrict the language that our kids see and use and stuff like that. So why would we not think about restricting what goes in their mouth?
Yeah, so true.
And if my child says, I don't want to go to school, I just want to play games. Okay, okay, Johnny, you just play some games. Would that be good parenting?
Right.
No, it wouldn't. It would be bad, bad, bad parenting. Um, and so the behavior is out of line. Oh, just he's a kid, he doesn't get it. No. So I think that's the key is is your I don't think you need to yell at all your kids. I mean, I don't it's rare that I raise my voice to my child because what works for her is a good sit down talking to, let's talk about this.
Right.
And so if I needed to yell, I would. But if I don't have to raise my own blood pressure to get my child to listen, then why am I doing it just because my dad did it?
Right. Right.
No, I'm going to try to do, so I'm going to, tailor it to each child. But I have to say, I have, what is the vision? Without a vision, the people perish. So without a vision for where I want my kid, if I want my kid to eat, that I'm going to have a challenge at the kid being a teenager and them never want to eat a vegetable. If I'm okay with that challenge, then okay, well, don't I'm doing it now. If I know, and I think part of it is we don't know, we just think that we just eat and
Right.
problems just pop up. We don't really know that we are laying the foundation for future health problems with the food that we eat. I don't, if you know that, and you say, you look at the front of the package or something, you don't look at the back of the package.
Yeah.
I grew up on, not grew up, but in residency, I had, is this CME? So if I use brand
No.
names. Yeah.
No. No. No.
Okay. So Boost was my best friend in residency.
Mm.
Boost was my best friend. I went to Boost all the time because I didn't always have time to eat. And so I was like, well, at least I got some calories, I got some protein. Okay, cool.
Right.
And then I looked at the ingredients on Boost and I'm like, wait a minute, glucose syrup, vegetable oil, milk protein solids, and gums and
Stabilizers.
multivitamin and a multivitamin. That's it. Like, that's why I can stay on the shelf
Mm.
for months.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's not real food. I thought it was real food. So look at the back of the package and see, and go back to the sinister part, like the people who have these companies and corporations, their goal is to make money. Their goal is not to necessarily to nourish your child. Their goal is to make money for their investors, for their shareholders. And how you do that, you gotta, cut expenses and make more profit. So, okay, cutting expenses means, well, if real food is expensive, then let me come up with some chemicals, right? Because chemicals are cheaper
Right.
than food.
That's right.
And so I'll load it up with chemicals such that, and then I'm driving revenue because it tastes so good. My reward centers in my brain are like, this is amazing. And so now I'm getting more revenue because my clients, customers are addicted to it, and I've cut the
Right.
cost because it's not actually real food. And so my investors are happy. But guess what?
Right.
Guess who's not happy? You or your child.
Right.
And
My
there are
consumers are
mental
not
health
happy.
benefits to doing this, like literally mental health benefits to eating foods that are whole foods that have a lot of plant foods that stay away from a lot of the added chemicals and processing and stuff like that. If you don't see, one big advice is if you're reading the back of the label and you cannot buy that ingredient on the shelf,
Yes.
then the entire package needs to stay on the shelf.
Nice. I love that. I love that. So many of the chemicals or the ingredients that are in our foods, literally, that you'd buy them in a lab supply store. You would see them, if you were taking some sort of chemistry course in college, you would see these ingredients, and even then, you wouldn't see them. You wouldn't see them in a college chemistry course. There's some mystery chemicals that only show up in food. It's odd. It's very odd what we do.
Very odd. We're
Yeah.
not eating real
Yeah.
food. Eat
No,
real
they're
food.
eating
Yeah.
chemicals. So true. Well, listen here, Dr. Bowman. We are right at 10:30 or 10:31. So I want to ask you, is there one last, I mean, this has been such a rich conversation for the entire session has been wonderful. Is there one last gem you would like to share with the audience, something that maybe they don't hear too often, but it's great to remind our listeners of something? What would you share?
Um, uh, I would say, as it relates to diet, eat according to your goals for yourself and goals for your child. So if you want, if your goal for your child is that they're going to have limited fruits and vegetables and only want highly processed foods, if that's your goal, then obviously you give it to them when they're young. If you want them to have health problems that they now have to peel themselves away from this type of lifestyle to change later, if you want them to have that difficult thing, like I got to shift my food now, no. If you want that to happen later on, then give them whatever they want right now. But if your goal is, I want my child to be at tip top physical health, mental health, psychological health, I want them to maximize whatever potential they have, then I need to put in whole plant foods as much as possible, preferably only whole plant foods, but at least as much as possible, as much whole plant foods as possible. Um, and by whole plant foods, we're talking, apples with the skin over applesauce, apple juice, and definitely not Apple Jacks, right? And so we're talking about getting the whole food in as much as possible. And there's a book called The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. It came out in the 90s, I believe. And it says put first things first. One of the things is put first things first. So before your child eats anything else, make sure they're putting first things first. On the plate, the first thing that they eat would be the vegetables or the fruit, um, before they even get a chance to eat anything else. That way, they're getting this in. Before you have any other snacks, give them another piece of fruit.
Mm.
Bananas are 21 cents a pound. I'm sorry, 21 cents each, maybe
Mm.
25, depends on where you are. They're 25 cents each. The little oranges, the little
Cuties or
oh,
halos.
exactly. They're
Mhm.
like 25, 30 cents each, if you get the big bag. So it's inexpensive. They last, a few days on the shelf.
Mhm.
Get the bagged apples, but like get whole plant foods, prioritize them, get them in first, um, and um, and watch your child develop the habits that you want them to have later, that they don't have to peel themselves off of later. Start now. Start while you're not even pregnant yet and you don't even have kids. Start now. Get your eggs ready, get your womb ready,
Mm.
in the pregnancy. That is just getting that early start and having a vision for what you want your child to become later on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for all your time and your effort and your commitment to keeping our world, making it just a little bit healthier, a little bit, right? It's a person, it's one person at a time, it's one visit at a time, one bite at a time. Thank you for that. Thank you.
And thanks for all the work that you're doing as well. Amazing work. Keep it up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's our pleasure. All right, that is the end of session 1 for day 1, and we will see you in the next session, which for this group will be Dotsie Bausch and Audrey Lawson Sanchez talking about, they're talking about the 79-year battle to get dairy out of schools.
Mm,
Remarkable. Yeah. 79 years of struggle, unpacking the history and current advocacy behind legislation that empowers parents and protects kids' health. We'll see you there. Thanks.